What's going on, you guys? So today I'm going to be painting some squadrons for Star Wars Armada, and I just want to kind of preface things with kind of like basically kind of walk you through like the different steps. Like, so here I've got a ghost model that's unpainted, and here I've got a finished ghost model, and kind of like the first thing that I'll generally do is prime my squadrons, kind of like these. I primed these all in white. And I also do my bases. If you've seen any of my games, all of my plastic components have a white primer over them too. The reason I do this specifically is just to help eliminate confusion when we're cleaning up at the end of a game, so somebody doesn't accidentally take one of my squadrons by mistake or one of my ships by mistake. Even though, you know, I mean, it has happened a little bit, but I mean, I like to do white. A lot of people will do black. But, you know, I just like having a color on there. If you're going to do something like this, I would suggest using some type of primer and not using regular spray paint. Regular spray paint ends up leaving a little bit of a sticky residue, and if you ever have to flip one of these tokens over, some of the cardboard and the coloring will stick to it and won't be pleasant. But primer is nice and soft, and I like that. I'm going to be doing some X-Wings today, some Y-Wings, and the Gauntlet Fighters from Wave 7. These just have a white primer on them right now. That's all that's on them. And yes, now the Gauntlet Fighters, I will be doing a named and then the generic. So the fun thing is, like, when you're doing a named large ship, there can be like, here I have the Ghost, and there's a lot of detail that you can do there. I definitely recommend trying to get a picture and trying to copy that picture as best you can. But the good thing is, if you have multiples, you can take some freedoms. Here I have one that I was kind of quick with, and I just did one color and then put a wash in and then a few little highlights in black, but not much. I didn't do much to this one. This one like only takes, you can probably do this one in a few minutes. I have some that I've done a little bit more. I painted one of my ghosts for X-Wing in these colors, and I tried to mimic the color scheme I did for my X-Wing ghost. And then here's just another one. I just made up random colors and just figured, you know what, here's another VCX. So I will do this for all of my larger ships, just so they all are different, because, you know, it's fun. I don't want to make them all look like the Ghost. However, X-Wings and Y-Wings and stuff, I'm going to make those mostly look like they do in the movies. If it's a unique one, what I'll do is I'll paint the lead ship, usually the one in the center, a different color scheme to signify that that's maybe Dutch leading the Y-Wings. In this case, I've already got all of those. I'm just doing some extras that that are kind of lower priority for me that I hadn't painted yet. And I will be doing both of the Gauntlet Fighters a little bit differently. I also want to show you different brushes that I'm using here. I've got an older brush here on the bottom, and this one is become a little frayed after a significant amount of use. It's still not bad, but it doesn't come to quite the fine point as it once did. And this is just from honestly improper maintenance. Sometimes I'm in a hurry, and I don't clean off my brushes as good. But this one can still feather out a little bit, and I can still use this one for putting down like a base coat or mixing up paints. And then here I've got one that I haven't used yet. You see this one comes to a much finer point. And this one will be good for putting like lines in or getting finer details and like cockpits and things like that. Starting off with some Warp Field Gray from Citadel. And I'm going to put some in my little palette here, because I'm going to do like kind of a base coat on the two Gauntlet Fighters. But this is very, very thick. These paints kind of, they're already pretty thick as it is. And so I'm mixing it with some water just to thin it out a little bit. And I just dip my brush in some water and then dip it back in here, and it kind of gets a little bit milky, but not quite the, you don't want it too thin. And I'm just going to kind of put a coat down over top of this. I don't have to go too thick because I already have a white primer. So if I was doing a black primer, I might have to do 2 coats. That's one thing. If you're going to do everything, white is a nice color if you're not trying to do a really, really dark color. I like white primers. However, sometimes when there's a lot of shadow involved, I like going with a black primer, especially if I'm doing just monochrome or only like one color on something. Sometimes I'll do that. It saves me from having to do a whole wash. And if you're ever not sure like how your paint is coming out, you can always do the bottom first, because the bottom doesn't really show up as much. So if you're going to make a mistake, make your mistakes on the bottom. If you're not sure if you have it too thin or not. Always just test the bottom first. And I'll be putting a little bit of engine glow here on the back. Rebels, I'm actually going to mix like a little bit of Ushtabi bone in with my warp field gray, just because the X-wings have the Y-wings have a little different color. So I'm going to mix these two together and kind of get a different base color here. And add a little bit of water to that. Make it nice and thin. And actually, let me do the X-wings first, because there's a trick to the Y-wings. Yep, that's about how I wanted them. Of course, you can use more gray if you want, but I want mine to look a little different than Imperials. All right, so but before I do the Y-wings, I actually have a little bit of Abaddon Black here, and I mixed that with a little bit of water, and I'm going to do the whole back of all of these pylons here, and I'm going to make, it's okay if I make a little bit of a mess because I'll be going over them again. I don't want to be too liberal with it. But I'm going to do all of these like that. And you'll find out why I'm doing them like this a little bit later. Right, so I got all these done. I'm going to let that dry for a minute, and I'm going to just start. I decided I'm going to go more with a gray for the Y-wings. And I'll just start kind of getting the base of these down a little bit, and I'm going to do the main body first. But there are raised portions on these. You see right there where that's raised? One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush, just kind of go over the side. Just like that, you see? And now over the black Starfield mat, it's going to look like there's nothing there. And I'm going to do that for all of those, and you have to be very gentle. It's like almost like dry brushing. You're just using the side of the brush, and I can get the back there. So you see how I got that one? Kind of like that. All right, so now that we've got all the bases, all the base coats done, I'm taking just a little bit of the Abaddon Black and kind of dipping my brush in here just a little bit. You see how I have just a little bit on the tip. I'm going to go through and start doing cockpits. And this, if you want, you can just do the top. Doesn't have to be perfect. I've never done one perfect, so I'm not necessarily the best. I just do a little bit. And if you're really fine, you can try and do it on the side as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Y-wings, just trying to get in there. They're a little easier, because it's just this little kind of like dark spot in there. Gauntlet Fighters, it's right up here around this little part. And I'm just going to kind of try to be really steady and mark it around there like so. Time for some detailing. For my Y-wings, I'll probably use a little Uriel yellow, and the X-wings, I'm using some Wazdaka red. And I just put it and mix it with a little bit of water. I always thin them down. And I'm using this fine brush again still. And I'm just gonna, you can use whatever colors you want, especially if you're color coding your stuff. I'm doing them in red, and I'm just gonna kind of hit the base of the wing here. Have it go all the way out, and then I can even send like a line up the middle right there, kind of like so. And you can also go up the side of the X-wing, because they have like their little lines. We can go up the side just like that, and we're just gonna hit the right around the cockpit with this yellow. Just like that. And you can even get the astromech if you want. Now for my Gauntlet Fighter, I'm going to be using Lothern Blue. It's kind of a like a brighter kind of sky blue. And I'm going to just try to get some of the raised areas where I think the color should be. And just taking my time with this one. I don't have a whole lot of these to replace if I screw it up. I figure Gar Saxon should be a little different, so I'm going to use Evil Sun's Scarlet on him. And I've got that just poured out here, mixed with a little bit of water. And I'm going to try maybe a different pattern. I'm just going to kind of freelance this one. Just kind of make up my own thing here. The last step I'm going to do here is I'm going to just kind of cover some of the engines in Eshin Gray here. So I'm going to be kind of going over the X-Wing engines and then these back little engine panels here. So the next thing is like totally optional, and you really don't have to do this. I'm not going to do it with the X-Wings. It's just to put a light wash on these things. So like you see the Y-Wing here has a lot of like, you know, engines and stuff exposed on top. And so I'm mixing a little bit of Nuln oil with some water. I'm just doing a real light kind of wash over the top here. Everything else has had time to dry. And you don't want it to be too darky. So I just wanted to kind of get in there with the engine panels. And then I'm going to kind of dry off my brush, come back and suck a little bit of that up. I don't want it to kind of, there we go. See that? And I might do this to the Gauntlet Fighters as well. I've mixed a little bit of another wash, the Draken Shade Nightshade. It's basically a blue wash. And a little bit of that, and with my Nuln oil and some water. Want it to be nice and watered down, and just because there's a lot of grooves and cracks and stuff in here. And the reason I went with blue is just because these things have such a bluish hue to them. But boy, that really does kind of make some of that detail really shine. Whoa, there we go. And I'm gonna do the other one, and then I'll go through and sop some of it out. And this just is instant detail. It brings out so much, especially like in this you know, these panels here in the back and in all the cracks. And then I'm just going to dry my brush off and soak up a little bit of the excess. Some engine glow. I'm just going to go with the pink here. This is Emperor's Children. A little bit here. And it's as simple as just adding a little dot on the back of the engines. I don't do any fancy fade effects here. Pretty straightforward there. And I mean, I'll probably go with the same color for the back of these guys. Probably, we'll do a little bit right there, a little bit right there, a little bit right here, a little bit right here, a little bit right here, just like that. And that's all there is to it, guys. I just want to remind you there's another round of the giveaway going on right now. You can win an expansion of your choice in the form of a $20 Cool Stuff gift card. And the only thing you need to do to enter that is to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that, guys. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I appreciate the support for the channel. Make sure you subscribe, click the little bell for alerts so you don't miss when I announce any winners or any new videos. And, you know, I just really appreciate it, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.